Good morning. All right, where are we at here? News is out. Market likes it, and we'll see how much they continue to like it or not as the day progresses. Where are we? Let's do our factory work. A small gap up, getting closer to the sell zone. Maybe it's already there. Maybe it'll get a little further. You can see my cursor on the daily chart, and it's right under that bar that price is gapped down from and the previous pivot low. And sure, there is maybe the ability to get closer to that 20 MA and the stiffer resistance. We shall see. Um, let's just see where that lines up. Yeah, the deeper in, you can see this area right there, right into the declining 20 MA and that stiffer area. Um, so far, you're holding on to the gain here. Let's make this a little clearer. Here was the news, the economic news. So gapping up. And so we'll see. Is it going to be a gap and crap, a gap and go? Um, Regardless of whatever it is today, we know that coming into an area like this, not that part of the advance from such a drop, just kind of going here to here. I don't know how much it is. It really doesn't matter. It's where the void is going to be closed as it comes into this resistance area. So that big gap down created that void. And you know, coming down about, give or take, close to 10%. Um, Surprisingly, it didn't fill that gap. And so anticipating another drop at this point makes sense. I think common sense because of the way down. I should say expecting a correction at this point makes sense. Um, doesn't have to go down. It could easily go sideways and probably take a little time to chop around, but that's the unknown. We just have to see what happens there. Oh, another member from the past old days. Welcome, Zal. I love it when people come back when you say from the old days. The old days goes back to as far as the end of 1994, 1995, and then of course into 2000 and beyond. So yeah, we've had many um, students, friends, individuals, professionals, prop traders, specialists, market makers, and everyday people like you and I come to be educated about the markets over these years. All right. And so this is pretty much what we're going to see across the board as to what's going on here. And now that leads us to the idea of relative strength and relative weakness as to which ones are underperforming or outperforming. As we compare that here to usually the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So let's take a peek at the Qs, and we see quite a distance from that 20. Where are we at? Slightly above yesterday's high, and the 65-minute or 60-minute, whatever you use, it doesn't matter. We have this little base that we've been talking about. I called it bullish price action at resistance. Why is it bullish price action if it's not moving? Well, it had a little bit of an extended move, and rather than correct downward, it went sideways. So now it's built up a base. Good about it is that base becomes support, and the gap up, pulling back into this area, should become support. Now, what it could also do, because the daily time frame is closer to a resistance and it's up multiple days in a row, it could gap up, which, well, it's already gapping up, and slice right back down through that within the next 20 or 30 minutes. And that would be a clear indication, or sometimes we use the word a tell as it relates to playing cards. You've just showed me your hand by cutting through an area of support, which would not be such a big surprise. The question will be whether it can stay down there, right, by day's end, or does it flip back up, and we get a daily bar that, is starting, you know, assuming it's there, by 9:30, it's starting here, and then whether we get a red bar that closes deeply into the prior day's range and possibly breaking a prior day's low. So one of the trading concepts, part of the thought building process that is part of the MTS, is that, well, there's multiple, of course, but this is in a downtrend, right? It got extended, it's moving up. And the factory work thought process says, what is the first reference point of support and resistance? And it's always the prior day's high and low. So as prices are going up and getting closer to the sell zone area, sell zone being it's into an area of resistance, does it break a prior day's low and does it close below it? Do we get a red bar, a turn? And as you can see, this has come up. We got a red bar here, but it never broke the prior day's low and it continued to move higher. And now it continues to do that. We know where it's opening up. We'll see where it closes, what it does during the day. Little shelf of support on the hourly or the 15 minutes. So another one of the concepts from the gap course is when you're looking at a daily bar, which can look the same as other daily bars, once you look inside, you look at, was there what we call an end of day base or an end of day advance or decline? So as it's moving up, as an end of day advance, did it advance in the latter part of the day, creating a small void, or was there an end of day base? And so as you look at whatever the time frame is, the analysis is always the same, universal. So if this gap up was to then go down below this base, that would be bearish as compared to if we had an end of day advance, it gapped up and it came down to support where buyers came in again. So this allows us to come to some analysis and conclusions as to the implications of a turn from an intraday trading point of view. It's one of the things we'll be looking for today in the green room as to what that reaction is and how it reacts to this end of day base. Does it buyers show up there, or does it cut through there like the proverbial hot knife through butter and break down there, which would be bearish? SPX should be about where I put the strikes today, as you can see where they're at. And so it's up here. Is it going to get up there today? I'll say hell no. Why would I believe that? Because it's up several days in a row already. It's opening up here. It's got to continue higher through there to get up there. So it's beyond a whole number of 5,400. It would have to advance further. Unlikely to get there. Will it come down here today? I won't say hell no, but I think not. It would just be such a tremendous turn that the probability of getting down there today, with news already being out, seems unlikely to me. Any news coming out latter part of the day, I'm looking, no. There's some Fed guy speaking at 1:15, probably not going to be a big deal. I don't think so. If he makes some comments about what's happening here. Being able to tell when we'll cut through like a knife through butter is still, I need more information, skill, I need information for. Well, Robert, the reality is we never know the future. As much as some try to predict the future, right, to a varying degree. So we attempt to predict the future as far as saying, based on common sense, this is in a downtrend. It's rallied up from an extended area, where it came from. It's coming up to an area of resistance. I predict that somewhere in here in the coming days, it's going to form a reversal. Seems reasonable to me. I still not predicting it's going to happen. Whereas you can get those that now get into their planetary alignments, Elliott waves, fib extensions, trend lines, planetary alignments. As I said, if it's at a full moon, that, and this, I'm not joking. I'm joking, but it's not a joke, because when I started out, I subscribed to a newsletter that got into crazy stuff like that and Gartley patterns. And to the extent of this, I knew this guy lost his mind when I heard him on TV saying the market is going to turn on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. He also said the market is topped out forever. I'm like, you've lost it. You just drinking your own Kool-Aid. it's, it's the truth. Anyway, that was many, many years ago, and it was a light bulb moment for myself when I started questioning the validity of this esoteric type of analysis and moved toward a more common sense type of support, resistance, trend, so on and so forth. All right, other markets. Transports look like they should roll over. Relative weakness. We'll see what they do here. I don't get the data pre-market. The Dow, relative weakness, probably up here a little bit. It does have room to go up. We'll have to see what that does. Yesterday, and even at the end of the day, I felt the semiconductors had the best opportunity to advance since they led the way down, close to 30% to the downside there on the gap down. So getting extended to the downside theoretically enables them to advance more to, the stretch rubber band to come back, and, it's gapping up a little bit into resistance. So, that's going to make it for kind of a tricky open. And there's been a lot more tricky opens than not recently. And IWM, again, showing relative weakness, gapping up in the middle of that range. That collapsed down in a tremendous way after that advance. Every institution, hedge fund, looking for small caps to begin to outperform, and they all jumped in at the same time, which I believe because of the way it went up, and they all jumped out at the same time and they get back down to the base. So markets are basically in a finding mode to see, does it roll, where it's going to roll over from, what can show relative strength, what can show relative weakness, and where do we get a much more definitive technical situation for calling the direction of prices. Mid caps, see the same story. We talked about this yesterday. Now, financials, what are they doing? Because they showed relative weakness yesterday. They're gapping up into the middle of that red bar. There weren't too many reversals yesterday of this potency where they gapped up. And maybe this is kind of the bar possibly that we'll get today, because we're getting that slight gap up, and we'll get more bars that look like this, going deeply into the prior day's range, but did not violate that prior day's range. So now that it's gapping up, it's got a little bit of a reprieve, and from triggering this sell setup there, since it's gapping up a bit. Also, XLC had a pretty potent reversal. As you can see, I don't get data here, but you can see where, the size of that reversal. We'll see if that breaks the low or not. A few others here, Bitcoin not doing much of anything. Gold advanced into the prior topping tail, and it's stuck there. The weekly chart still is looking pretty bullish, like it's going to go higher. Silver has been underperforming. Kind of a sell setup there, been underperforming gold. Crude oil, I think, has reached its destination in the short term. It's been in this volatile trading range, going back and forth all year. You can see. And so that's just eyeballing about the middle of the range there, and this congestion area that it's moved into in a wide range bar after this advance typically results in a slowing momentum day or a resting day. Other than that, things are pretty much the same. Interest rates are rolling back over again, and not sure if that's good or bad at this point. because in the past it was good and it wasn't so good when they fell sharply. So I'm uncertain of that. And everybody wants that interest rate cut. So this is, advanced like everything else did off of the low. Looks like it's kind of inching back down again, but everyone is anticipating a quarter, a half, depending on who you talk to in September. So we'll see how it unfolds. We'll see what today brings. And as always, we'll trade what we see. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, just doing some adjustments here. All right, there's the screen. So yeah, Greg mentioned SMHs. We put on 3 put spreads yesterday. We did one on SMH, and I have the midpoint loaded up. My 5-minute low be looking to take half. We did NVIDIA, beautiful gap up, same, and AMD. Nice bottoming pattern void. So, we traded very well, and we have a couple directionals. They're all doing well. What's going on with Starbucks? Yeah, the CEO from CMG is being hired and going to Starbucks. So that is quite a testament to how the market views this guy. You know, like Alex, when Sam joined Tupperware board, what, the stock tanked like 30%, remember? So this is opposite. The market tells you if they like the decision or not. So there's nothing to do with it now. We're actually in a CMG. We have long calls. That was a bullish bottom pattern. And there's nothing you can do on gaps if you're going to hold overnight. But the good thing is, well, if there is a good thing, is we're long the 54 calls. We only have one contract at $2. So this is highlighting a beautiful benefit of buying options. This thing can gap down to $10. Our loss is 200. Whereas if you were long stock at the same time, if you 100 shares, you're down 45,000. So amazing difference. All right, General Motors here. I think, I don't know, got an upgrade, downgrade, I don't know. But that's a sell setup. PSX is a sell setup. It's printing down here, but there's no volume. I'll watch the open. If it is gapping this far, we'll wait for a little bounce. JetBlue yesterday was raising $3 billion, and it looks like the market is interpreting that as a liquidity problem, is my view of this chart. Let's go up to earnings here. There's not too many. Wolf, cheap stock. But if we can take out, what's today, Tuesday? We can take out Friday's high. Looks like it can go a little bit if you like cheap stocks. Here's another one. That's a pro gap. I don't care the price of the stock. That's a nasty downtrend, and it's gapping over all this. That's a pro gap. This thing might work its way to $3 or more. So that one I'll watch. Here, I'll put it here. CXAI. Never heard of it. Rum. 602. Too sloppy for me. KGS gapping down, but there's no volume. If it is gapping under yesterday's low, definite call spread idea, 5-minute low. No, BuzzFeed, it's range bound now. It's a bullish gap, but range bound. PAX, $37, gap's too big. DSP, $10. There's no volume, but if it is gapping to 10, then I'd say 15-minute high is good to go. Take these out. Well, he better get a refund because it didn't work. Please, 16, 30-minute high, maybe it could go to 18. No VSAT getting whacked. No pattern. Home Depot. Look at the sell setup pre-market. Gap down, sell setup, minor resistance. If the market were open and this was, the first half hour, look how beautiful this entry would be. Sell setup, that resistance, the declining 20. That's how we enter in day trade on patterns like that. So that's a call spread idea. Southeast, done. This could be a short-term gap and crap, but it's still powerful, daily and 15-minute. But 30-minute low. That's a call spread, gap and crap. 41.12. No pattern, onion. I think Sammy Boy was. Sam, did you do this? Did you do a short straddle? If so, you should have a wonderful profit. SRAD 1231. This would be a fantastic setup if it didn't gap up too big. And then target would be the prior high, but gap's too big, lower 72. Man, that thing's ripping. But it's flat. That's a Bitcoin miner. HUA, bottoming pattern. Bottoming pattern. So that would be a no-brainer naked put. If there's any juice, we could do the 450s. I'll keep an eye on that. Haley is a climb-up in a bullish gap. So that's worth watching. 30-minute high, maybe target $5. Just a bounce in a downtrend. And those are all the earnings. So let me now go up here to, Elon alarm just went off. Our Elon triggering. This was in the weekend letter. Is a bearish gap that bullies and a 1, 2, 3. I love these patterns. I hope it doesn't run too much. And then target, I'd say, is a 200. BRSK. Why am I watching this? That's a mess. This must be on Sam's list if it's such a mess. What the heck were you thinking on the Sam breakdown? Call spread? Here's a bullish closing breakout. ARMK, bullish weekly monthly. Dash, it's bullish. I added this to my core list. This would have been a better buy setup entry right here. I'd call this a secondary buy setup, but target 180 on the monthly. Bullish weekly, bullish daily. The problem is I don't like entering this far from the 20. WFC, yesterday's low. Let me set an alarm, 5190. The number of financials close week. So there's a couple of banks on our short list. Actually, we did a half lot of XLF yesterday. Gapping up here. Let me set a new alarm. 42.15 now on the downside. Q's holding amazingly well here. Apple, let me look at the things. Data. Yeah, Q's are just a grinder. I think they're going to the 20 minutes or somewhere in this gap. Well, there's a big difference here. 450, 457 versus 462. That's a $5 range. Our Apple is holding beautifully on the 15-minute chart. That's just not a compelling pattern, just because of all the resistance. We nailed this bottom. We're very, very active on that gap down. Amazon has a void at least. I'm going to set an alarm 168.50. So see the difference of that and the Apple? Apple is stronger without a doubt. But stronger is not a pattern and a setup with a good reward to risk. This one, the pattern, there's a breakout and there's a void. Stop the lower of today or yesterday. Or you mean yesterday or Friday. Meta, no pattern, but bullish 15. Google, no pattern, but over yesterday's high has room. So, I'm always staring at the fade. So I don't even need an alarm. Alex, Amba alarm. This is yours. This is a 10-minute high idea. All right, southeast. All right, PSX did gap down. All right, Amba. I'm gonna put Amba in a window. See, it's a multi-bar turn. All right, so I'm out of windows here. All right, LKQ alarm. All right, that's a early alarm, but NEE. Let's hold off NEE. But a put spread is okay. Yeah, let me look at Elon. So let's do a pullback then. And hold on, PSX also. All right, PSX. Half lot is a go. PSX. Elon. General Motors alarm. All right, so originally our stop was huge. So I think, what do I think? It's just mind-boggling to me how the Qs and spiders have been in such lockstep over the last few weeks and months. The 5:15 hourly on my computer, I can barely tell them apart. It's like, are these duplicates? Amazingly similar. Greg, what's your
Some,
take on this
some might,
email?
Dan, I'm listening to your comment, and some might think, but Dan, they're broader market indices, so shouldn't they be that way? And no, because there are times where they're so different. It's surprising, and you could be saying that with the same tonalities. Like, are these markets related in some way? So yeah, it changes.
All right, so Greg, help me on Elon. It was a 1, 2, 3 in the weekend letter. What do you like it? Half lot stopped yesterday's low or pass or what? Amazon up alarm.
Well, it depends. I mean, if it's a swing trade, you could do a half lot and with the similar stop, or wait and see if it pulls back to fill the gap. I mean, we don't know what it's going to do. We know the markets are could go a bit higher coming out of that end of day base. At some point they're going to turn. So far things are holding up well. So I think smaller position, whatever the stop is, and we'll see what happens.
All right, AMD up alarm, so semi's still doing well. Now let's cover half, move stop under 226. Oh, did I give calls? Then let's cancel it because if I forgot it, I forgot if I let me look. Yeah, so all right, I told him to use stock. All right, AMD. Let me go through these semis. All right, SMHs. I got a this is the one I screwed up yesterday, and I have a wider. I got the 210 197 for some reason. I screwed up yesterday. So I took some money on some all right, AMD 129, 125. Wow, AMD is not as big a open profit. The video went on 198. Let's take some profit on this. Midpoint 16. Let's at least move stop break even on AMD. Yeah, let me check need the puts. Yeah, I forgot we had two trades there. Water, that's the one, Sam. I meant to ask you because I forgot the symbol of that. Yeah, looks good, Sam. You know, only caveat, the market's up a lot, but I love the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4 bar turn. Love it. Now look at the CXAI was a nice gapper, I said. Look at that pro gap. Well, I see I said target low threes, so it's kind of run too much already. Now let's put water here, looks great. And then NEE. Um, let me see my strikes. 76, 73 for 35. 76. It's 25 right now. So that one's good to go. Neat, Steve, if you get filled. Ah, you're doing 77. I was doing 76. But 77 should be okay. But I'll leave this one at the 35. All right, General Motors. General Motors, I think target 200.
Looks good.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, at first I just wasn't sure of the reward to risk. That's why I was asking you. And let me check puts also 42.52. CMG just made a new low. We're in damage control. Yeah, we got a $3 wide put spread that we covered half at a beautiful profit. And now we got a problem on our hands for the back half. Nike. Yeah. Yeah, today's a something bar. Yeah, big old void. I like it. Yeah, let's buy a half lot. Stop Friday's low. Actually, it shouldn't take out yesterday's low. Yeah, yesterday's low is fine. No, Don, I'm going through everything as fast as I can here. I didn't get to that one yet, but I know my alarm went off. Okay, Q. Yeah, I don't care what the spread is, the pattern's fine. So I'll just set a new alarm. Tesla and Meta, 15-minute bars are ripping. All right, so okay, Q, new alarm. Is 38.20. So why alarm? That is a void. Let's see that's not a cell setup. That's a grinder that's building support with a void. So that actually, I wish we could do a put spread, but that, a big difference between that and General Motors pattern, cell setup, PSX. Well, Diamond's playing catch up here on the 5-minute, but they're at yesterday's high.
That resistance.
Yeah. Now that Hua bottoming pattern, that's, it's a gap and go. I'm not chasing, but look at the monthly too. That looks like a long-term bottom. Look, another another long-term bottom, daily, weekly, monthly. Add that to the list. Oh yeah, I mentioned the 4.5s exactly. But see, on a pattern like this, Don, I don't mind going out a month because let it bobble around, do whatever it wants. I think it's a bottom. There are no 4.5s. That is so stupid. A $5 stock only has $2.50 wide strikes. I mean, that just belongs.